What you're seeing here is called Nordic walking. Walking with poles for fitness. My name's Rick Deutsch, and I'm a certified Nordic walking instructor. In this video, I'm going to show you how to properly use Nordic walking poles. Nordic walking was an outgrowth of cross-country skiing. It was rolled out in the mid-1990s, and it's really taken the world by storm. It's a fitness exercise. Generally, it's on pretty level surfaces because you're not mountaineering or climbing. Those are different poles. Nordic walking poles only weigh 8 ounces. The poles that I recommend are LEKI, L-E-K-I. The name comes first from the founder, Klaus Lenhardt. That's the L-E. The company headquarters is in Kirchheim, Germany. That's the K-I. LEKI USA is located in Buffalo, New York. Now, before you do anything at all with your exercise, I want to tell you there's certain things that you need. One is a good sun hat. The second is a water bottle. You need to have water and hydrate when you're working out. And thirdly, I want to talk to you about your shoes. You should have good tennis shoes, good walking shoes. Okay, you really don't want to be walking like this with sandals on. So just a good fitting pair of tennis shoes. Great. So let's get into the poles themselves. The poles are 8 ounces, very lightweight. And let me show you how they work. At the top of the pole is a very lightweight strap. LEKI has some very innovative ideas. Watch this. You just put this grip into the pole, push this red button, and out you come. The straps themselves are left and right. They're marked with an L and an R. To make things easier, I put a piece of red tape when I have the red strap on. So to get out of these totally, you just pull back the Velcro and then store them away. So if you go to grab your poles, if they're in the trunk of your car, where I keep mine, you just glance down, see the red tape, and then you're set with the right strap. The next thing I want to show you is the shaft itself. LEKI makes many different models. Some are all carbon, some are all aluminum, and some are a mixture of carbon and aluminum. But as I mentioned, the poles are identical. They're made identically. The poles themselves are very lightweight, and let me show you, these are called the instructor poles. They're very good for classes and very good for use. They're held together by a quick release mechanism here. Snap, snap. With that, I'm able to shorten the poles if I'm a shorter person, or lengthen the poles if I'm very tall. On the side of each lower element are centimeter markings. So once you decide, and I'll show you how to measure yourself, once you decide what the proper length is, you just go back to that every time. Down at the bottom, the working end here is a rubber tip. This protects any sensitive surfaces you might be walking on, tile, wood, things like that. They're very quiet when you're walking on asphalt or sidewalks. Very good grip as well. But underneath this, if you want to walk on trails or grass, this rubber tip comes off and you see a carbide steel tip. This is great for any trail or grass. So we'll put it back on, it just rolls right on. This little basket here is used if you're going to go on soft soil so that the pole doesn't sink in. You can even do this on the sand. So I recommend you get close to the water where the sand is a little bit firmer. So that describes the poles themselves. By the way, LEKI warrants their poles in any defects in manufacturing for life. So that's a good thing to know. Now, to Nordic walk properly, you have to adjust the length first. So what we're trying to do is start out with a 90-degree angle. So I just released the speed lock here, and I'm rather tall, so I go ahead and click it at 125 centimeters. What we're trying to do is get a 90-degree angle with your arm. So your forearm is pretty well parallel to the ground. It's not that strict. As long as you're close, that's fine. In fact, I recommend people just try it. Try a little shorter, try a little longer. It might work a little bit better for you. Now, I do want to show you something on the pole that's very, very important. There is an upper limit to how far you can pull the pole out. It says stop max. Do not use the pole when that is showing, because there's not much of it inside the cylinder and it could bend. So the first thing we want to do is measure the length, 90 degrees. When you do that, you adjust the other pole so it's the same length, and you hit the speed lock. Make sure your shark grip is nice and tight. Okay, and we're ready to go. But before we start walking, the next thing you want to do is arrange your tip. The tip, let me show you down here how the tip meets the pavement. We come down, you'll see that the tip should lay flat, not this way with the point pointing down. We're going to get maximum traction when the tip is down. So you might be able to see that a little bit better. So when I have the pole behind me, that's where I want it flat. So I'm going to have to rotate it so it's flat. And I'll do the other side as well. So those are the two important things: the adjustment for the length and the rubber tip. That's basically all there is to it. Now I'm going to show you how to walk with the poles. I see a lot of people that come out and they walk with the poles in front of them. Okay, that's not what we're looking for. What that does, yes, it gives you stability and balance. And in fact, many Parkinson's patients use poles just for balance. They don't worry about the benefits. So let me jump in now and tell you what the benefits are. Nordic walking poles were compared to just walking a few years ago by the Cooper Institute in Dallas. Dr. Kenneth Cooper worked for the Air Force. He was in the Air Force in the 60s, and he came up with their aerobic program. In fact, he was the one that coined the word aerobics. He's still down in Dallas working at the Cooper Institute, where they analyze athletes, and actually anybody can come in and get their aerobic health checked out there. In their study, they found a control group of walkers and a control group of Nordic walkers. When they compared them, they found that the people using the poles properly, they had a calorie consumption greater than 20% than the others. That went up to 46% with people that really were pushing it in here. The second thing is your oxygen intake goes up. Again, about in the 20% range. All these numbers vary by person, men and women. And that's because you're more upright. Your chest is out, your shoulders are back, and you're just breathing better. One of the most important benefits, though, is your heart rate. When you use Nordic walking, think about it. You're now using about 90% of your body's muscles, and that requires your heart to pump out to those muscles. That's when your heart rate goes up. And we have a way to show you how you can check your heart rate with the poles and without. What you do is you take a walk, go about maybe 30 or 50 yards. Go at the pace you're normally walking at, and then come back. Now measure your pulse without your poles. Then take your poles, do the same exact walk, same distance, and the same pace. And you will find that your heart rate's going to go up about 8-9 points. It really does. That's what doctors like. Doctors want you to exercise 20 to 30 minutes about 3 times a week, and you can do all that with your Nordic walking poles. So if you're walking at lunch, for example, why not get more out of it? Simply by using the poles. And by the way, you will not feel any more tired than when you were just walking. These are very lightweight. And one thing I do want to point out, some people say, well, why don't I just carry dumbbells with me? Little 5-pound dumbbells and walk like this. You risk ligament strain when you do that. What I suggest is do one exercise at a time. So let's go ahead and jump into this and tell you how to do it properly. Now I did mention, I don't want you to be going like that. What you're going to do is always keep the poles behind you. And you're going to keep an open hand. You don't grip the poles. Once you start to grip the poles, you're going to have a tendency to want to pick them up. So let me get back a little bit and I'll show you the proper way to use your Nordic walking poles. So I'm going to go a little slow for you. You just swing your arms and legs normally. So opposite hand, opposite foot. That's the whole key. Now let me show you what a lot of people unfortunately do because they don't know. When you first give people poles, they feel they have to do something differently, but you don't. Here's what some people do. They get all mixed up and start walking like this, using the same arm, same leg on the same side. I call this walking like a robot. So that's not what you want to do. So let me go back and we'll do it one more time. Okay, so take a watch. I'm dragging the poles and just moving my arms normally. My chest is out, my shoulders are back. And that's the technique. Let me go from left to right so you can see that as well. Okay, and I'll go a little slow for you. Notice the cadence of the feet. That is the proper way to do it. Now, some people also have problems starting off. Which do I do first? How do I get in sequence? So some of them start moving their arms faster than their legs. Here's a great way to get into sync. If you're in the military, you always start your marching with your left foot. So keep that in your mind. I'm going to say forward march, and you start with your left foot. We also shake hands with our right hand. That's what I want you to do at the same time. So you're going to go forward march and shake a hand. Okay, forward march and shake a hand. So if you have to say it out loud, fine, that's great. So here's what we're talking about. Forward march and shake a hand. There you go. Once you get that started, keep it up. Keep your same pace going. Okay? So that's the first thing you want to do, is get your arm swing correct. But where you're going to really benefit by is not just the walking part of it, but this is really the key that I'm going to show you now. When the poles are by your side and you're walking, once the pole is in front of you, it's going to start to go back. That's when you push in to the surface, just a little bit. You're not jamming it in. So you're just going to push, 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 push. It's that little pushes that add up. So if you're going to do this for a half hour, you can imagine how many times you're going to push into the ground. What that does is it activates primarily your tricep muscles. Triceps are muscles. They need blood to work. So that's what's going to happen, is your heart rate's going to go up and start pumping more. So let's do that again. You can really think about what I'm doing. Notice the hands are open. Once you start grabbing these poles, you are going to have a tendency to pick them up. You never pick them up because pretty soon you're going to be going like this. So you're not going to get the same benefits as if you would just dragging the poles. Okay, let's practice that again. I'll come towards you and away from you so you can see it clearly. And here we go. Good pace, whatever your pace is. Keep it going. Now remember, it's a fitness exercise. So the more you put into this, the more you're going to get out of this. Okay, you've done it. You know 90%. One thing I like about Nordic walking is you don't have to come back for the next lesson, now we're going to show you this, show you that. You basically, this maneuver here is the essence of what you're going to get out of it. Remember, you're going to burn 20% more calories than just walking. Your heart rate's going to go up, let's say 8 or 9 points. You're going to get better oxygen into your system. Also, you're going to get back support, because when you just walk, you have nothing to support you upright. When I have these poles behind me, it's actually momentarily making me stand more upright. When you're walking, keep your head up and look out to the horizon. What you don't want to do is drop down and look at the surface in front of you. So this is what you don't want to do. Be looking like this. Okay, I'm kind of hunched over now, and that's not good. Rather, keep your head up, look down, look around. And one thing that you're going to find when you do Nordic walking, when you get the hang of it, you're going to be on autopilot. You won't even have to think about what you're doing, because honestly, it's just like walking to the market. Nothing's different, except now you've got these poles. You won't even know they're there. They will follow you because the strap keeps them connected. And again, open-handed works fine because the strap is pulling them towards you. Go to LEKI.com to look at all their types of poles. You'll also see their ski poles, their trekking poles, as well as the Nordic walking poles. So get out, start walking, use your poles, burn those calories, get your heart rate up. And remember, fitness is only a step away.